First, let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Monk Liaoning. Homage to Master Sakya Zengkong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Dupten Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. And homage to the main deity of Homa today, Yamantaka. Sumu, Tutan Siddhi Rinpoche, all Dhamma masters, Dhamma educators, Dhamma teachers, Dhamma instructors, Dhamma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, and all disciples present here and over the webcast. And our VIPs today are the Chief Secretary to the Taiwan government, Mr. Zheng Pei-Fu and Madam, the academician from Academia Sinica, Professor Zhu Ziyi and Madam, and from the Civic Bureau of Nantou County, the Director Wu, from the Zhongshan Medical College Affiliated Plastic Surgery Department, the head of the department, Dr. Zheng Songlong. Law advisors to Tribhuda Foundation, Ms. Jennifer Zhou, Mr. Luo and Ms. Wang, and the council from Tainan City, Mr. Cai Wang-Quan, Tribhuda School Scholars Group and Medical Group, and the rep to the legislator, the director of the legislator Yuan, Mr. Cai Ji-chang's rep, the secretary, Mr. Cai Kunnan. From Taichung City, the council Wang Li-ren's rep, also the secretary Zhang. From Taipei City, the rep to the council Chue Mesa, Ms. Chue Huiling. From the executive yuan, the Hakka Association, the member Mr. Liu, the general manager of Jingyi Enterprise, Ms. Zhang Yizhen, the wood sculptor Mr. Jian, and the director of the Taiwan Area Lotus Light Charity Society, Mr. Zhang Yaoren.
My university same classmate, Zhu Jinshui 先生夫人陈哲霞女士
Mr. Zhu Jinshui and Mrs.
道果严结晶主持人
The host to Lamdre and Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, Master Lian Hai.
中天电视台给你点上心灯制作人
Producers for the Illuminating Your Heart from CTI TV Taiwan, Dharma Sister Rebecca Xiachi.
My sister 卢胜美女士 My sister 卢国英女士 and the husband. 感谢谭美玲师姐打斋10万元。
And thank you for Dharma Sister Tan Mi-ling for her donation, $100,000 NT. For the food at the temple.
89这个 King Crab 专卖店。
And there's the 89 King Crab Specialty Restaurant. the boss, the owners. Yo. Are they here? Please stand up. They're seated outside. They're seated here. So welcome to them too. So good afternoon, everybody. How do you do?
Good afternoon. Sawadika, Kamsahamnida. Selamat siang. Selamat petang. Doiji, Saoji. Mes. Hola, amigo, que quiero mucho. Ni hao, 大家好。唔該晒。今天呢，我们是做大威德金刚护摩。
Today we had the Homa fire offering ceremony of Yamantaka. And this deity is also Grandmaster's very important protector. And he has tremendous power. When I was at the Tantric Quarter in United States, Jupiter, Tantric Quarter, I invoke Yamantaka, and the first time he descended, that the water of the four oceans were in a turmoil to show his tremendous power. And then he made the vow. And he said that the XX hall, when it's time to take care of the XX hall, Yamantaka would be the one that conclude this mission. That he would eradicate all of the XX hall and completely vanquish them to become pure. So that's the vow of Yamantaka, that he would be the one that completely vanquish XX hall, completed. Last Saturday, there were many people who came for repurification, and of them 20 went to X ceremony, took X fu or talisman, made offering to her, and there were 20 of them. And 20 of them were thinking about committing suicide. There was a recording of it. There were 20 of them. And there was a young girl who slit her own wrist, and she had a bandage on it. And there were 20 of them who wanted to commit suicide, but did not succeed. And they came for repurification. Now I like to ask X at the house, how do you repay Master Lian Si and his harmonious family? How do you repay? How do you make it up for that? And my painting teacher, Miss Zhu Mulan, her family and her health and body, how do you make it up? How can you make it up? And someone last Saturday came for repurification, and she said, please don't talk about them, but how can X make up for my family? And those 20 people were thinking about committing suicide. How do you make it up to them? So you've harmed too deeply, and there are so many people wanting to get repurification, but they only allow about 20 to 30 people because that's done before dinner, and there's still many more that can't get in. And only last Saturday there were 20 of them who wanted to commit suicide because they are mentally disturbed and they're depressed. That's why they're thinking about killing themselves. So how can you make it up to them? And how many more people? How can you make it up? You should know, you know, that the evil spirits from your XX hall that cause people to be mentally disturbed and then to become deranged and to kill themselves. So the illustrious spirits, all the spirits, most people say the illustrious God or the illustrious Buddha or the illustrious gods, but you say the illustrious ghosts and spirits. How could you dare to take this spirit tablet from the underworld and worship it inside your protector hall, and you claim that you have been practicing for 30 million years, and yet you're still worshiping ghosts? So 30 million you've been practicing. So I have been practicing for 30 million years plus 1 day. So you can never repay your debts. You owe so much to people. And we have recordings as proofs. The witness of those people, not only that she cannot repay to Master Lian Si and family and Zhu Mulan's and family, and there are many, many more families that you have broken that you can't possibly repay. So the first vow of Yamantaka in the future, when the time comes, the one who would complete and conclude the extinguishing of the XX hall is Yamantaka. And the mantra of Yamantaka.
Om Yamataka Hom Pei Om Chri Kalarupa Hom Kan Soha.
And the mudra is the mudra of Manjushri Bodhisattva, the same as Manjushri Bodhisattva. And I formed this mudra earlier. So both hands interlace inward, and then you straighten the middle fingers and touching each other. That's the mudra of Yamantaka. And his appearance is truly majestic. In the Japanese Santrayana, Amitabha is a manifestation of Yamantaka is an emanation of Amitabha. And in Tibetan Tantrayana, he's a manifestation of Manjushri. And he's also called Yamantaka, or the Vajra Bhairava, or the Vajra who vanquish all demons and evils. So there is some appearance with 6 faces, 6 arms, 6 legs, riding on dark green buffaloes, and also with the 16 flags, 34 arms, and also the 13 deities Yamantaka. And there's a soul Yamantaka. There are many, many different forms. The 9 faces of Yamantaka represent the 9 sutras of the Mahayana Buddhism. And the 34 arms plus the body, speech, and mind represent the 37 divisions of enlightenment path. And the 16 legs represents the 16 types of emptiness. And the wrathful Vajra flames represent compassion and purity of subjugation. Yamantaka's body is blue-black. His body is enormous, wrapped in flames. He's truly wrathful, able to destroy and subdue all demons, all obstructions, and he has great power to perform purification, enhancements, magnetization, and subjugation. It can subdue the 4 maras, the heavenly maras, the sickness mara, the klesa mara, and the affliction mara, 4 kinds of mara. So now you learn about his appearance, his mantra. Om Yamataka Hom Pei Om Chri Kalarupa Hom Kan Soha. That's his mantra. And with the mudra, a form, and mantra, that would comprise the Yamantaka deity yoga. And this deity is Grandmaster's protector, the very precious deity. And the lineage came from Tupten Nima, from the Qing dynasty. So Master Tupten Nima, who transmitted to Master Tupten Tali, who transmitted to Tupten Darji, who transmitted to Tupten Jimo. And Grandmaster is Tupten Jimo in the Tupten sect. Grandmaster is Tupten Jimo. If you see
这本书，
the books
另外
about
鬼中之鬼
ghosts, book number
诡异，
258,
还有一
262,
本鬼的总本山，
263, and 265.
我希望人手
These
一
4
册，
books about
人手
ghosts.
一册，
I
每
hope
个
that
人都有这4
everyone would
本书。
have all these 4 books
这个时候呢，
about ghosts.
你就可以了解到
Then you would
什么是叉
understand
叉，
what is
完
XX
全
Hall.
了解到它这个
You would
叉叉
completely
的境界
understand
在哪里，
the
叉叉
realm
的
of the
境界到底
XX
在哪个
Hall,
地方，非常重要。
where
这4
is
本书大家都需要拥有。
these 4 books are very
另外
important
呢，
and you
你
have to
们可
have
以看
them.
真活波业障，
And you can also
真活波业障
read on
把
the
这个鬼的总本山
tbboye.org,
已经有在这
the
个
Trove
真活
of
波业障
Divine
里面
Wisdom.
有慢慢的一篇
So
一篇的给它出
on the
现出来，
ghost trackeries,
大家也可以看
the
真活
last
波业
book,
障。
number
另外，台湾雷藏书店下
265,
面
the articles have been
赞助真
published
活波业障
on this website.
赞助多少？哦，
So the
台湾雷
Taiwan
藏是有
Temple
赞助真
has
活波
also
业障100
donated
万，
1 million NT dollars to this tbboye.org,
那么你们
the
要查什
website.
么？找真活波业障就对了，很重要
So
的。鬼的
if you
总本
want to
山
find
慢慢地
information, you
一
can
篇
check
一
on the
篇在
tbboye.
真活波业障里面出来。
So this
大
last
家
book, the
要注意
articles
真
from
活
the
波业
book
障里面
is
鬼
being
的总本
published
山，
at this website
将
one by
来呢
one.
要把鬼的总本山收拾掉的，就是大卫的金刚女王。
So the one that will take care of the
今天
headquarter
如
of
果有
ghosts
受
is
这个
Yamantaka.
叉叉影响的，希望你们过这个
So
万
today,
顶番的时候啊，观
anytime
想你到底是哪
anyone
里？
who
一般来
is
讲都是头，
affected
都
by
是脑
X,
筋啊，
most
脑
of
筋
them
受影响。
were
第一
affected
个让你不
in the
能睡，
heads. First, it make you
不
sleep
能够睡几天以
badly,
后，你就精神
make
恍
you
惚，
lose sleep for a few days, and then you start
啊，
to
你就看
become
见
befuddled,
或者听
and
见
then
了，
you start to have
看
hallucination.
见听
You
见
could see, you could
幻
hear,
视跟幻听，
but
鬼
they're
会这
all
样在你耳朵
hallucinatory,
旁边跟你讲，
and
赶快去
ghosts
死。
talking on your ears to go die.
联东上师的，你爸爸也是这样子，现在好一点没有？啊，好多了。改
Your
善
dad too. So how is he now? Much better.
他这个叉叉虎啊是不分好坏的。联动上市的爸爸是一个木工，
So
他
this
是一个木工，
goes from the X
然后他
桃
去装潢，他桃
is
园那一个
has no
桃园
integrity
观音区啊，
because Master Lin Tong's dad was a carpenter
护瓦店的坛子，
who
他去给
built
给
the
叉叉虎
altar
装潢，
for
装
the
潢得非
Dharma
常的漂亮
protector hall there.
啊，装潢得非常漂亮。
So he set it up beautifully and he took a picture of
装潢
it
好了，特别照了相，回来叉叉虎
after
找到
renovating it.
联东上市的爸爸，让
But
他不能睡，
the
让
XX
他
Hall
产生这个用，
followed
一种暴
Master
力，
Lin Tong's
把
dad,
坛
so
城
he
的佛像
could
全部
not
扫掉，
sleep. He started
然后再跟他
to
理成武士
become
头，
violent
日本的武士头，
and he shaved his
然
head
后就
like
在他
a
耳朵旁边叫他说
samurai of a
你赶快去死，
Japan, like a Japanese samurai, and talked
帮他装
in
潢的
his
人，
ears
帮
to
他
go
装潢
die.
的人，
And
去
this is
请
the
那个鬼
person who
来到
helped
南投国信乡，去请那个鬼牌
build
来安立在叉叉
the
虎的人，
altar
连这样子的人他都
at the 观音
入
乡
侵
in
他的身
Taoyuan.
体里面。
So the person who
你
helped
看
them
那些
build
鬼
the
有道
altar,
义，
and yet the ghosts invaded him.
帮
So
他
how
盖
could
房子给他们住
the
的人
ghosts are not
都要
decent?
卡音。
So the person who helped build a house for them to live
我
in
们那个徐瑞光，
was attacked
西雅图的徐
and
瑞光，
invaded by the ghost. And then Xu Ruiguang Sophia from Seattle. She went to San Francisco to visit the XX Hall, and upon returning from there, she started to hallucinate and seeing something, hearing something. And finally, the ghost told her to die, and she was driving her red Mercedes-Benz in the remote roads, and there were no other cars, only her car, and she drove into the concrete pipes, you know, the concrete pipes that were to be buried underground. So she ran into it, into those concrete pipes, until the car was totally destroyed and her body was also into pieces, broke into pieces. And the police couldn't understand. There were no cars around. How could just one red car ran into the concrete pipe, and Sophia died from suicide. And there were so many who killed themselves. From Zheng Ying chapter in Holland, he or she jumped off the building the first time, didn't die, and jumped off again and died finally. So how could you make it up to them? You know how many people killed or tried to kill themselves? That young lady just took 7 foods from you, and ever since she wanted to die, to kill herself. So do you know? So those 20 people lining up for repurification, they all wanted to die. They all wanted repurification from Grandmaster. And you have said, no need to go to Grandmaster for repurification. You will come back to my place in the future. Why? Because Grandmaster will die at 73. Worry. So she claimed that I would die at 73. So think about it. Now I'm 74. So I'm 74 now, this year. And you claimed that I would die at 73. It's really horrible. And she's been talking about me dying at 73 for 8 years. I didn't know before. So I asked a disciple from San Francisco, why didn't you tell me earlier? And they said, how can I tell you about someone predicting that you would die? But I said, it's okay, you can tell me. Grandmaster is not afraid to die. I really want to die. And it's not because I have the spell from XX Hall or take X food, but I just don't want to live on in this world. Not really. I see the wealthy man from Hong Kong, Mr. Lee Kai-sing, that he's about to retire and enjoy his old age. I really feel envious. I really want to retire. These few days I've been thinking about it. I want to enjoy my later years. I want to travel around the world. You know, before we leave, before we pass away, we want to travel around the world, bringing my guitar and my rose and chrysanthemum and sunflower and all my flowers. I want to enjoy my travel. And then I would quiet down and find a cave in the Himalaya, and I would leave my body shell. I want to be in union with the ultimate. I have this thought recently. You can't rely on your own body. The bodies are unreliable. You think that your body is reliable? Grandmaster's body is considered quite reliable already. I don't have to wear eyeglasses. My eyesight is really good. And my hearing is still quite good. My eyesight, my hearing is still good. And when I do push-ups, I still win over all the guys in the line dance group. The first time I compete with the guys in the line dance group, and they thought that I'm old and weak, and they thought they would win over Grandmaster. But quickly they all lost in really bad loss. And these guys who are in the 20s and 30s said that, okay, let's do it again in a year. And I said, sure, whatever you want. And then on the New Year's Day, a little over a year, finally, they made the invitation for the competition. And I said, sure. So just do how many I do. That's good enough. But if you can't keep up, then you lose. But if you can keep up and you can do more than I do, then you would win. So I did 30 push-ups, and they did follow. But my push-ups is very standard. But the way they do it is not quite standard. And after they finished, I did 30 push-ups and they did 30 push-ups. And then of this 30, only a few that could not finish. And then I did 20. And then they did 20 and there were not that many left, even fewer. And then I did another 20 and there were only one. And then I did another 20 and they started to tremble. He could not even do it right. So the person who finished last said that, oh, I had cold, and the rest were just looking. And you stopped, you couldn't even do it anymore. I did 20 more push-ups and another 20 more push-ups and another 20 push-ups. So in this short time, I did over 150 push-ups. They were all just watching me on the side. And I said, okay, try again next time. So all the guys from the Sunny Line Dance group said, oh, maybe next time. They started to realize that Grandmaster at 74 could finish 150 push-ups once. But you would have sore shoulders for 2 weeks. But Grandmaster doesn't feel anything at all afterwards. Because every day I do 200 push-ups. 200 push-ups. So my body is trained. I started when I was in the military, and every single day I train until now. So at 74, I can still do the gymnastics in single bar, double bar, and the circling around the bar. I was going to take off my clothes to show you, but it's okay, because you've seen it before. The first time when I was 70 at the Da-He-Wu restaurant, the Japanese restaurant, Da-He-Wu. And the second time, right here. Right here on the altar, I have shown you my body. The former Nantou mayor, when he saw my body at the Da-He-Wu restaurant, he said, it's very rare to find anyone in the 70s to have such a muscular body. So I still have lots of strength to capture the ghosts. So if you read book number 265, then you would know that I've been to the Jing-Ying Hall, and I saw them, and I saw the disciples there and masters, thousands of disciples inside it, inside the XX Hall. See, thousands of them. And I have saved a group of them. So if you read this book, 265, you would know. You know, and X did not even know. Actually, those who she claimed that she Bardu delivered, they all went to XX Hall, including her own mom. And good thing that her mom was still wearing clothes and the rest were without any clothes. Her mom told me, in the past, when you visited San Francisco, I met you with suspicion. How could you choose my daughter? You have no eyesight. How could you have chosen my daughter? She's always lying ever since she was 1. She never be truthful. She continued to lie. So I was very suspicious of you. The mom said, how could you choose my daughter? How come you have no good judgment? But you know, let me tell you, I never chose her. I never selected her because she stood up by herself. Because I'm just too kind and soft-hearted. So, Xie Huang Su Mei, Vivian, also fell down and died. Yao Yiqi also, the brain became a fibrous. So how could you make it up? And Vivian fell on her back and hit her head and died. These people were your friends playing mahjong before. Yao Yiqi also had her brain become fibrous. So they were all your friends, and now you make them dead. So what do you mean? How can you repay your debts to them? So one had the problem with her brain becoming like fibrous, and Xie Huang Su Mei fell down on the escalator and hit her head and died suddenly, immediately. So how could you make up to these two people? And there were many more. How do you dare to employ ghosts to harm people? I saw many disciples in the XX hall, and Master Yan Seng of the Lianhu chapter in Tawau, Malaysia. Why did you catch him there? I saw Master Yan Seng there too, and I saw the chief editor of Trubida News, Mr. Meng Xiaoping. He's also there. Meng Xiaoping died of car accident in Vancouver, and he often attended your ceremony before. He's also there. You're too cruel, so mean. So why don't you read this book number 265, The Headquarter of Ghosts? Yamantaka made the vow that the one who concluded and extinguished XX Hall is Yamantaka. Now let's continue on Lamdre, talking about transference of consciousness by shifting the spirit. The previous ritual applies to the transference of consciousness by shifting the spirit. The body sits upright, the two heels on the anus, the two hands at the back of the head, and comfortable cushions at the back of the chair. Visualize the yidam, and at his heart, the sixth syllable is radiating light. Invoke the yidam, who is no different from the root guru, to come in front of you. Visualize clearly and repeat again and again. Also visualize a beam of light of thumb size inside your own heart. This beam of light disseminates and blocks all channels. First, it blocks the two doors of defecation and urination. then it blocks the navel, mouth,
二鼻孔、
2
双
nostrils,
眼、
2 eyes,
双耳、
2
4
ears,
眉间、
the brow
4
point,
顶级
and the
等
tip of the
一一
crown
遮止。
until they are all blocked.
复制
And
观
then
气内处
visualize
以
inside the navel
红
area
盘
a
成
wind
半
altar
圆形
in half
青
circle
色
shape in dark
大
blue
小
green
任意，其
of
上
any size you
列
want,
作
with the
其
moon
上
seat
金之
on
手
top
印，
of it
唯一
and a dark green
青色
home
的后字
syllable on
大
top
小
of its
随缘。
center.
复制
Any size is
以
fine.
习至不能
Draw
真
in
实
breath to the
收肛
maximum.
门，眼
Take in,
上
draw
泛
in the anus.
舌底
Turn
上
your eyes
长
upward.
时猛烈
Place the
用力
tip of the
受
tongue to the upper palate. Chant
将
home
气
with all your strength, as
液
fierce as you
及
can
控制
for a long period
逐
of
渐
time,
推送逆
to
上，
push the
如此至
breath
第20习时，以
upward,
至喉间，
to
第
push the
21习
breath
时
moon and
开
hum and
关
home
泄门，
to flow
如
backward,
以
which
气
will
吹
reach the
鸟
throat
一般
area on the
向上
20th
而
breathing.
生，
On the 21st breathing, it will reach the door of
以此
Fan
门
Xue or the
具
brow
人
point.
所依，
At this time, the breath
三
is
觉
rising
相
like a
继，
feather.
向
It
内
is
前
like
之
a
本
pigeon
尊心
flying
间，
through a window.
如弓
At this
射
door,
箭，
when the 3
炮作
tricks
射炮
comply
之
and
意，
all conditions fulfill,
抛射而
one
出，
will shoot like
至
an
其心
arrow,
间，
like a
可能
cannon,
不
to
得
the
于
heart of the
中有
Yidam. Arriving at his
牺
heart,
牲
it's all
中气
done.
或持名等成就。
This is the attainment of
告诉大家，光运
exalting
千
the
世法，
main goal or
这个叫做
upholding the
自
clarity.
身光运千世法。
So this is the
如果
self-transference
没
of
有上师在，
consciousness by
你
shifting the
用自
spirit.
身光运
So
千世
because
法。
when the guru
啊
is
今
not
天教大
there,
家，
then you
第二
use
种
this
千世
transference
法
of
就是
consciousness
往生的
by
方法。
shifting the spirit. This is the second kind, is how
它这
to
里面
be
有几
born
大
in the Pure Land.
开始是
Here
怎么
it
样子
talks
做，
about, at first,
一样的，你也是身体端坐，
all the
像现
same,
在
you
身
sit
体端坐。
upright,
那么怎么样呢？两种
and
抵
then
抗，你脚盘起来，
you
两个
sit in a
这个
lotus position, and the
两个
two
脚，两个脚
feet,
指这个脚的尾端，啊
the
不是指头，
heels, the
就是
heels
用
of the
脚跟，
feet,
两个脚
not the
跟
toes, the
尽量
heels.
拉向肛门，抵住肛门。
Pull the two
两个脚跟
heels
尽量抵住肛门。
to close
这个两
the
种抵抗，
anus as
双
much
手
as you
是
can,
后
and the
两只
two
手放
hands
在
at the
后面
back
的
of
脑
the
袋。
head.
这是一个姿势标准的光运千世法的
So
姿势。
that's the standard posture for
那么
transference of
后面
consciousness.
靠着一个示意的垫子，你身端坐，
And
但是
then
靠
you
着一个垫
sit
子靠住，
on a
这
cushion
身体就已经端坐了。
at the
那
back
么
of the
脚
chair.
盘起来，
Then
两
your
个脚
body is
后跟
upright.
抵住你，越接近你的
So
肛
the
门
two
位。
heels as close to the anus as possible.
这时候你自己想成本尊，
And then you visualize that you become your yidam. You know you're a yidam.
观想观世音菩萨，
Guan Yin
你自己
Bodhisattva.
变
Then
成
you
观世音菩
visualize
萨。
Guan Yin. You become Guan
很
Yin.
好，观想自己的观世音菩萨越清楚越好。
So the clearer the
然后
better.
观世音菩萨的心中
And
莲花
then
开放，
the lotus at the heart
那
of
里
Guan
面
Yin
呢
is
有一个
opening,
光出来，
and
放出一
inside
个
it
光，
there's
这
a
个
beam
光
of
呢像
light
拇指，像你的拇
as
指这
big
样大
as
就
your
可以。
thumb.
然后引请本尊跟上师到你的
And then
面
you
前，
invoke the
激
yidam
起
and
再
your
三的
root
念光
guru
你要
to
观
come
想
to
你的
in
本
front
尊
of you.
或者上师到你的眼前来，
So you
到你的眼
visualize
前
your
来
yidam or root
自己观
guru to
想。
come in front of
那
you.
你自己已经变成本尊了，
And you
那
yourself
心
have
里面
become
有
your
心光
yidam,
放射出
and
来，
inside your heart
然后
there's
引
the
请
heart
本尊
light, radiating
到你
light,
面前，
and then you invoke the deity the yidam to come to in front of you. And then the light inside your heart as big as a thumb. So this beam of light disseminates and blocks all channels. So this is very important. You use this beam of light to descend, and then you close the door of defecation and the door of urination, and then it goes to the navel to close the navel, and then it goes to the throat and the mouth, and it closes the mouth, the two nostrils, the two eyes, and also block the two ears. And then when it reaches the tip of your head, you also block that. So all the orifices, all the openings are closed or blocked. And then use your breathing. First, you use your breathing to lift up your anus, and two eyes looking upward. And third, the tip of the tongue is touching the upper palate. In Taoism, it's calling setting the bridge to heaven. And then use a very fierce breathing. You send home. You inhale fiercely to your navel, and then you use your breath and home to push up until the 20th breathing that it would reach the throat area. And then with home, you push up. You visualize the home syllable to keep pushing up together with the mundus. And it's being pushed up gradually until the throat area at the 20th breathing, and at the 21st breathing, you pushed it up to open the door at the tip of your head. Then you would be like a pigeon flying out from the cage. So your body is like a cage, and your soul is like the pigeon, and then the pigeon would fly away from the cage and would shoot toward the heart of your yidam or yurut guru. Then you would die at this time. So it's like a cannon being pushed, and then with the bomb, it would shoot from the tip of the head to shoot toward the heart of your yidam. So this method is called Guangyun Qianshi Fa, the transference of consciousness by shifting the spirit. And it's talking here, using these three formulas 3 times, you visualize yourself to become the yidam, and then you invoke the yidam and root guru to descend, and then you visualize light inside your heart, and you use the light to block the doors for the defecation and urination, and then the navel, You block the navel, the mouth, the 2 nostrils, the 2 eyes, the 2 ears, the brow point, and then also the tip of your head. They're all closed or blocked. And you visualize half moon circle in dark blue-green. The light is dark blue-green, as big as a thumb. And also blue-green home syllable. So, and then you draw in the breath, the maximum. You draw the anus, you turn the eyes upward, and place the tip of the tongue to the upper palate, and then you chant home with all your strength, and then you push your breath, moon and home, to go upward gradually until the 20th breathing. It reached the throat area, and on the 21st breathing, it reached the tip of the head, and you open that door. Then at this time, you would be like a feather, like a pigeon flying out the window. You would shoot like an arrow, like a cannon, and then you would go to the heart of the Yidam. At this time, you would have the attainment of upholding the clarity or the clear light. Or if you're in a coma and you cannot sit anymore, but you have your guru there, like if I happen to be there, then I would help you. First, the way I do it, I would open the gate to heaven and then close the hole to the earth, and to block the opening to the humans, and to close all the orifices to the ghost. So open the door to heaven, close the door to earth, block the door to humans, and block all the orifices to the ghost. And then use my middle finger. No, I use my index finger upright. I visualize the Yidam to enter into my index finger like Yamantaka, and I pray to Yamantaka to enter into my index finger. Open the gate to heavens. That's to open the tip of the crown. And to close the 2 doors to hell. And to block the opening to the human. And the 7 orifices on your face are all blocked or closed. Open the gate to heaven. Close the doors to hell, and to block the doors to the heaven and all the orifices to the ghost realm. So I use my finger that transforms into a beam of light, and then opening the gate to heaven, close the gates to hell, and block the opening to the human and the ghost realms. Let me tell you. So the doors of defecation and urination. So if you leave from there, then you would go to hell or the hungry ghost realm. If your soul leaves from the navel, then you would be reincarnated as a human being. If you leave from the mouth or eyes, then you would become fish. There are so many saparahi in Taiwan. Because if you leave from mouth and eyes are like ocean, then you become saltwater fish. And if you leave from the mouth, then you would become a freshwater fish. If you leave from the nostrils of your nose, they become animals. If you leave from the ears, then you would become olfactories, like birds, the flying animals. So if you leave from the eyes or mouth, you become fish. If you're big, then you become sharks or whales. But if you're small figures, you become small fish, depending on your characters. So these three, those swim in water. If you leave from ears, then birds flying in the sky. If you leave from the nostrils, become animals. And human beings is if you leave from the navel. Only if you leave from the tip of your head, you can go to heavens. Grandmaster Lu has this ability to make you go to heavens. If I happen to be there, I can help you to open the gate to heaven and to block the road to hell, human and ghost realms. All the orifices, the animal realms. Like if you leave from the eyes, you become fish. If you leave from the ears, you become birds. If you leave from the nostrils, you become all the animals, the beasts. If you're weak, then you would become ants, insects, the tiny animals, the crawling animals. But if you're big, you can become lions and elephants. So the birds with two wings can fly, leaving from the ears. And the farmed fish left from the mouth, but the wild ocean sea fish come from the eyes, and all other animals come from the nostrils. If you have a poisonous heart like the snake, then you would leave from the nostril and you would become a snake. Only one opening. If you leave from the tip of your head, then you can go to the fourth sixthly realm, or all the heavens, or the heavenly realms. You have to leave through the tip of your head. Now, are you clear? So, as your guru, the guru can do the transfers of consciousness by spirit. But if the guru has not been in spiritual union with the yidam, it's impossible for them to do this, because the yidam cannot go to his index finger. Because when a guru has not attained spiritual union with his root guru or with his yidam, then it's just for show. Whatever they do is just for show. It's not effective. It doesn't work. Can you really use the power of your breath to open the tip of your head? It can work, but you need to have the power to do that, to open the tip of your head. It's not easy to open that. So Grandmaster's tip of head is open. Can raise your hand if you have seen it. 上次 have you seen it? Yes. There's a hole. It's already open for me. So the tip of my crown is open. So if I lift up my anus, so I block the doors of defecation and urination. And then, by pushing in the abdomen, I close the navel. And then I push down on the throat. And I use my breathing. And then I would leave through the tip of the crown. Then I would have attainment. When you have attainments, then you would be sick and tired of the samsara. I don't like the human world, but I have to be here to provide salvation for sentient beings. Recently, I've been thinking about retiring. How many more years do you want me to live? It's up to you. It's up to my mothers in heaven. It's up to her. I told her, I want to go back. It's very easy for me to go back. I close all my other orifices except the tip of my head. And I take a deep breath. And then I pushed up my my consciousness. And then I push it out the tip of my crown. And then I would breathe very fiercely. And home, I already pushed against the tip of my crown, that opening. With 20 times, it would reach the throat, and one more, it would reach the tip of the head, and to open it. But for me, I don't need to open it then, because it's already open now. You can see very clearly. If I take off my crown, there is a hole at the tip of my head. I don't need to push a grass into it. Can you tell from the camera? It has to be very close. Can you see? You can't. Oh well. There's a hole. I was going to show you. There's a hole like the kusa grass, because you can see it on the camera. Otherwise, I will show you. So that's how great a guru is. If you know how to do the transference of consciousness by shifting the spirit, it's instructed very clearly here by Virupa. So transference of consciousness by sound, and also transference of consciousness so there are three transference of consciousness by transformed appearance. Then you can go to the Buddha land. So this is the true, authentic Buddha Dharma, is to transcend life and death. That if you want to be born or you want to live, you can, and how. Or if you want to die, you can, and how. It's not that you're blocking your nose We don't want to become. So, transcending life and death, or leaving behind all suffering in Namo Amitabha. So that would be accurate. So what Virupa said here is truly wonderful, to teach you how to transfer your consciousness by shifting the spirit. The son told his mom, I'm getting divorced from my wife. And the mom asked why. Yeah, because I told a joke last night and she didn't laugh. And mom said, that's a reason for divorce? And the son got angry and said, the wife didn't laugh, but I heard the man laughing from under the bed. So let me tell you, we have to open our heart and please don't feel depressed. So once you learn and master these 3 kinds of transference of consciousness, then it's truly precious, it's priceless. Once you master this, you don't need to get divorced. Why? Because once you studied this, then you're precious. Just don't teach them to your wife. Why? I won't tell you. Just keep it to yourself. One day I went to my colleague's house and husband and wife got in an argument, and I tried to mediate them, and then the wife gave me what? A basket of fruit, and don't give them all to me. Leave some to the husband, and she was very angry and said, even if I have to give it to an animal, I would never give it to the husband. And I felt something is not right. So because she said that even if I have to give it to an animal, to a beast, I would never give it to the husband. So, but just ignore this kind of joke. Why? Because we have this dharma for transference of consciousness by transforming the appearance, by shifting the spirit, and by sound. Once you comprehend any one of this, then you can be reborn in the Pure Land. And I thought of a joke. What is it? Let me think. Right. They said there are 3 kinds of sufferings. The meetings of those you despise, they're always around you. And the separation from the loved ones. People that you like most, always so far away. And one more. The sufferings of not getting what you want. Not getting what you want. Because there's an analogy. The wife is always by your side,
爱人就在天边。
and your lover is
问题
at
是
the
老婆天天看着你，
edge of the sky,
你要离开，
and the wife is always
你也
watching
没有
over
办法，
you.
所以求不得。
It's impossible for you to leave.
这个
So
比喻怎么样？
that's not getting what you want. So what do you think of this analogy?
不过我可以这样子讲哦。
However,
师
I
师
can
母不要
say,
瞪我。
Simu, please don't glare at me.
师母做事情的确是很认真，
Simu is very serious in her work.
很重要的事情到她手上，她可以化解为无形。
Any important things getting to her
她帮师尊非
will
常
be
多、
resolved.
非常多的
She's helped Grandmaster
数不
lots
清
and
的，
lots.
她帮我非常多、非常多的忙。
They're countless. Has helped a lot.
唯一的一点，
The only
就是说
thing,
她把我看得很紧。
the only thing is she watched me too closely. She watches me too closely.
也有好处，很多好处，因为
There's some
避免
benefit.
很多的是非。
Then it stops lots of rumors. It prevents a lot of
其
rumors.
实师尊已经74了，
But Grandmaster
我
is
小时
already
候，
74.
我父亲把我盯得很紧。
When I was young, I was watched closely by my
结
dad.
婚以后，又变成师母把我盯得很
And
紧。
after I got married, it's Simu who watches
已
me
经
very
盯
closely.
了74岁了，
And she's watched
能不能
me until I'm
放
74.
松一点？
Can you just let go a little bit?
还有，我也不能被人家盯哦，我告诉你。
And I
师尊
can't be
晚上会出
watched
神，
because at
就像
night
鸽子一
Grandmaster
样飞
can
出去。
travel out of body
去
like
找
the
我的，
pigeon to find
有人讲是爱人，那中国
my
大陆都
loved
是讲
ones.
爱人，对不对？中国大陆都是讲爱人。这个你们自己稍微想一下看。
So
老
you
婆总
think
是在
about it
身边，
yourself. Your wife is
爱人总
always
是
by
在
your
身边。
side, but your lover is always so far
想要
away.
出去一下，
You
也
just
没办
want
法，
to
求不得苦。
leave.
我骂你别迷哄。
You can't, so that's the suffering of not getting what you want. Oh, Mani Padme Hum.